Hello, welcome to Just Johnny IT channel. We are streaming live today in English, and we are going to talk about games, not in general, in a very specific narrow context. My today's guest will be Dana Deal, who is a developer manager at Huuuge Games. He coordinates work of a team behind a huge casino. In the end of this session, we will have a Q&A session related to the presentation. We collect questions under this video in our social media, so feel free to ask for anything, games related, of course. And yeah, that's it. Dana, good luck with your presentation, and the mic is yours.
Thank you very much. It's a wonderful pleasure to be here and to spend a little bit of time talking about getting your dream job in the gaming industry. And that's what I have, and let's get started and share this with you. There's a famous saying by Mark Twain that says, if you love what you do, you'll never work another day of your life. And it's been one of my goals as I go through my career, that I try to find jobs and things and that I enjoy doing, which makes my daily jobs really just a lot of fun. And I found that ultimately in the gaming industry. And but I've always enjoyed this quote. So what are we going to talk about today? Today we're going to talk about some common sense tips on how you can get your dream job. I'm also going to go over a step-by-step example of how I landed my dream job in the gaming industry. And what I'd like you to take away from this presentation is some tools and practical examples on how you can pursue your dream job. And then the desire and the passion to figure out what your dream job actually is, because that's actually really important. And sometimes it's not thought about as exactly figuring out what your dream job is. And then most importantly, the courage to act and to claim that dream job that is out there for you. So who am I? My name is Dana Dill. I am from the United States. I moved here to Poland 7 years ago to be with my lovely wife, who is Polish. We got married last year. And I've been doing software development for over 20 years and in all variety of industries, including healthcare, finance, and ultimately now I'm working in the game dev industry. I'm from the Boston area, and again, I live here in Warsaw with my wife and our beautiful French bulldog named Dante. And I work for Huuuge Games. What do we do at Huuuge Games? We are a mobile game publisher. We work on social casino games, is what my team specifically does. But we also do work on casual games. We have puzzle games, we have action games, many different types of games. We have over 600 employees worldwide. And here alone in Warsaw, we have probably close to 400. We have 10 locations around the world, ranging from here in Warsaw to Szczecin, Tel Aviv, Amsterdam, and Las Vegas, of course, and many other locations. Some of our most famous games is Traffic Puzzle, Huuuge Casino, which again is what my team works on, Billionaire Casino, which also we work on, and Rogueland. And I highly encourage you to go to your favorite platform and download any one of these games and check them out for yourself. Okay, now the really fun part. I'm going to walk you through 5 steps on how you can get your dream job. All right, step number 1 is to identify your dream job. So some of us may know immediately what our dream job is. Some of us know that we want to have a dream job because we want to have fun at what we do when we do our job, something that's interesting to us, something that we feel passionate about. So we ask ourselves a few questions, and this is a sample of some of these questions you can ask to maybe help identify what your dream job might be. These questions are, well, how much money do you want to make? And this is important. Obviously, that's kind of one of the first things you establish when you do an interview is, well, how much money would you like to make? What kind of responsibilities would you like to have? So what do you want to do while you're doing your job? Do you want to work, in an office or remote work? With all the pandemic over the last couple of years, we have a whole different work environment and situation. Just like I do here at Huuuge, we can work remotely, or we can come into our beautiful office, which I'll get into more later. What kind of environment do you want to work in? Do you want to work in a hectic environment with a lot of things going on, a lot of action, a lot of diversity, or do you want to work in an environment that is more stable, more methodical in the things that you do, or somewhere in between? What part of the world do you want to work in? This was a big choice for me because I love Europe and and I loved coming to Poland and I love working here. I think it's fantastic. And maybe you have a place in the world that you would like to go visit and maybe work in someday, or some part of the country that you're part of. It's an important question to ask. How big of a company or team do you want to work on? So do you want to work for a major corporation like Microsoft, or do you want to work on an indie startup that maybe has just 2 or 3 people on it, or 5? Or do you want to work somewhere in the middle, like at Huuuge? And how would you describe your perfect boss? And this is really kind of an interesting question because it's, who you report to and is turns out to be very critical in your career. I know personally I've had bosses that have literally launched me in my career and made my passion for software development even bigger. And then I've had bosses who are just stifled all that enthusiasm and didn't really care about me or what my career was and just downright mean. so I've had both and somewhere in the middle too. So it's important for you to identify what kind of boss you would like. Would you like somebody who's more concerned about what you're doing, or someone who's more hands off, or maybe something else? Okay, the second step. Now I've kind of figured out what my dream job is, but so what do I do now? I know kind of what I want to do, and it's one thing also to note at this point is sometimes your dream job can evolve. It's kind of an organic thing. Again, for myself, I started off with wanting to be a software developer, and we'll get into that in a moment. And then it got more defined over time to where I wanted to be in the gaming industry. So how do I figure that out? I mean, how do you do that? So the first thing is, the first thing you want to do after you figure that out is to actually update your CV. And we're going to go through quite a few things on how to do that and some recommendations for things to put into your CV. But this is really a critical part. You want to apply for positions that you see advertised. So, for example, here at Huuuge, we have a whole website with all kinds of offers out there, and we encourage you to go to that website and read about them and to apply directly that you see advertised. You can do it through other agencies, through LinkedIn. Sometimes we provide links, or companies do, but if you can go direct, there's no problem with that at all. Send your CV directly to companies. And once again, if you're that you are interested in, of course. Use your own network of people that you know, and we'll get into networking people a little bit later and how and why that is important. Use LinkedIn. I'll bring up LinkedIn a lot in this presentation because personally I use LinkedIn a lot to get my dream job, and it's a great tool, and it's what companies like Huuuge use to do a lot of their recruiting through. Talk to somebody who's already been in the position that you desire. So if you're lucky enough to know somebody, and you can ask some questions about that job. In my own case, I didn't know I wanted to be a programmer. I'll give you some more history in a moment, but when I got to talk to other programmers, it told me that I wanted to be a programmer almost instantly. So this is important. If you get a chance to talk to different people about things you want to do, it can really help you to know who to apply for. What products do you want to be associated with? It doesn't. It's really important because I didn't realize this early in my career, but it was what actual products do I want to be associated? Did I want to be associated with a particular medical product, or do I want to be associated with a particular brand? If it's a brand that I don't like or support, maybe I don't want to work for that company. Or if it's somebody that I really would like to work for, especially in the gaming industry, Huuuge is a great company. It's somebody I really want to work for, and I like to be associated with that title. So that's really an important question to ask. How big of a company do you want to work on? How big of a team? Kind of talked about that earlier. That's important. And then, most importantly, you really have to change your thinking process. You need to go on the offense. It's easy just to submit applications after applications and just kind of sit back and wait for the offers to come in. I know I know we all think we're really great, and we are great, and but it's more important to go on the offense and go after that dream job that you're looking for, because at the end of the day, it's just really that desire that it's going to be needed to get you to the place that you want to be. Okay, step number 3. Let's talk about your CV. This is really, really critical. I see in part of the recruiting process, I see a lot of CVs. I see all kinds of variety of CVs, and which is very interesting to me. But some things to keep in mind that will catch the eye of the recruiter of the job that you want is to tailor the CV for the job that you're applying for. So your CV is never just one document that you finish and you just send it off to everybody. You really need to customize it for each position. And I'll kind of go into a little bit more of an example of that a little bit later. Compare your CV with a job description and ask yourself some of these questions. Is this a perfect fit for you based on what the company wants? Is it what is most important to the employer that you see there? Does your CV meet all the criteria for the position? What is lacking in your CV, or what's missing in your experience that they're looking for? How can you make your CV more attractive? And this is really, really important. I've seen a lot of different kinds of CVs, and some of them are really, really, really boring, and some of them are like, wow, they're really, really fun to look at. And again, we'll get more into that in just a moment. Would you call yourself based on the current CV? So it's a good question to ask. You look at the CV, you look at the description, and put yourself in the recruiter's position. Would you call yourself? And if your answer is no, then we probably need to look back at your CV and see what we can do about it. Don't make your CV too long, 1 to 2 pages max. And this was actually something that I did wrong early in trying to get my dream job. I have a lot of experience. I have been doing software development for, again, over 20 years. So I had a lot of things on there that I could write about. And my CV was probably 7 or 8 pages at one point. And I didn't get a lot of callbacks. And I think this is one of the bigger reasons why. And I did a little research, and I customized it to just 1 or 2 pages. And I actually got a lot more traction out of that. So keep it short. Okay, 4th step. Let's talk about your cover letter. And this kind of gets overlooked sometimes. And I see some of the CVs that come in, and they have a beautiful, CV and no cover letter. And it's about 50-50 whether or not we get a cover letter. And remember, this is your opportunity to introduce yourself to the recruiter and to the company. This is the first thing that we see about you. And I like to think the cover letter is like reaching out your hand and welcoming, introducing yourself. And so it should be tailored per position, and it should touch on key points that are in the job description, and and you can talk about how to address those key points. So once again, it's an organic document. It changes per position that you're going to apply for. Make it interesting and fun to read. My CV, when I was looking for my game job, I think it was 4 paragraphs long. I told an interesting story about how I moved here from the United States to Poland. I told about funny instances of certain jobs that I had in the past that would relate to what would be the position that I was applying for. So just make it fun for me. I see a lot of these things, and the recruiters even see more of them. And I trust me, if you make it fun and spicy, it'll jump out at us, and we'll get our attention. So. And lastly, let's talk about your state of mind. This is probably the most important. It is the most important, actually, part of the whole process. You can do all those first 4 steps, and the last step is really you have to have the right state of mind to implement all those steps. Because landing your dream job is exhausting. It's great once you're there, once you've arrived, and depending on your job, it could be exhausting too. But it's always fun, and it's exactly what you want to do. But getting to that goal is exhausting, and it takes time. And also remember that rejection is part of the process. It is really important to remember that. And I like to give the example of when I was looking for my dream job. I had a spreadsheet, and for every position that I applied for, I put in the date that I applied, and then I put in the date when I got a reply back, and then I kind of gave a status update. But what was interesting about this spreadsheet was it grew to be over 100 records long. So I had applied to actually over 100 people, and I'd been rejected 100 times. And so that can be very discouraging. And but you got to remember that it is part of the process, and the most important thing about rejection is to learn from that rejection. So in many cases, if your application is rejected, or especially if you've been through an interview or two and you get kind of to the final phase of it, the recruiter will tell you why you were not chosen, and take that feedback and use it to improve yourself. If you don't get any feedback, I've always send an email back or trying to respond back, say, hey, why didn't you accept my application or my for the position? And sometimes you get a response back, sometimes you don't, but at least it helps you to develop for the next phase, the next job you apply for. Be determined and persistent. Again, it's a journey. Getting a dream job isn't something that most people stumble into. It does happen, but in most cases, it's a journey. So embrace the journey, enjoy the journey, and just be determined and persistent, because you will get there. And just follow the steps and you'll get there. Getting your dream job and looking for it can be a full-time job. And the amount of time you take redoing your CVs, your cover letter, looking for that position, all the searches on the internet, it is really a full-time job. So that's why it can take quite a bit of time. Myself, it took years before I actually landed the game dev job, and it just takes time. And most important, can't stress this enough, is stay positive. Really, it could be a grueling process. You get a lot of rejection. You get a lot of people telling you that you're not good enough at something, and but remember that you are good enough. Remember that you have incredible talent, and that with that persistent, you can get that job that you're looking for. So stay positive about it. It will happen. You're learning something with every rejection or every step of that journey, and stay positive. Okay, a little bit about my story and how I landed my dream job in the game industry, kind of applying the things that we've just talked about. First of all, that's kind of a picture of me back when I had hair. And this is me at E3 back, I think, 2006 or 2007. And it was a wonderful experience. And I've always been a gamer. I love games. I still, to this day, I'll go home tonight and I'll play my favorite game. And my wife and I would play games together, which even makes it funner. So that's a lot of fun. So everything about our thinking is kind of revolved around games. But I've always been that way, but I didn't start off in the gaming industry. Obviously, when I went to school, I actually studied American history in college, and why I liked history. But when I got out of school, I didn't have a job in history or teaching or anything. So my first job was actually working at a restaurant, and in South Carolina in the United States, and I did that for a few years. I managed a restaurant there, and it was a nice job. Again, I didn't know anything about software development this time. I was a gamer and everything, but I was enjoying that experience. But because of the health conditions, in the sense of we cooked a lot of on the open grill and stuff, so there was a lot of smoke and stuff like that, and I always was constantly not feeling well. So my doctor said, well, you need to get out of that business. So I said, okay. And I went looking for a job, and the first job that I was able to get was working for a software development company who wrote tax programs. So that may not sound very exciting, but I worked in the support division, and I supported people would call in with support questions, and I would try to answer those. If I didn't answer those, I'd go talk to programmers. And I'd also get a chance to speak at conferences and that our new features that our software was doing and coming out. So it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. But the thing I really enjoyed was talking with the programmers. And I got to learn that, hey, maybe I can be a programmer too. And I immediately thought about programming games, because I like to play games, and I had some ideas that I could write, some simple games about. So I liked that idea. I bought some programming languages, and believe it or not, I actually really did. There wasn't a whole lot of free on the internet at that point. And I loved it. And so I decided to go back to school and take some more serious classes and try to develop that skill. And so I did that, and to the point where I was able to write my own first game, which was a lot of fun. And that first game was something like this. And it's just a simple dice game. One of my philosophies for creating software has always been to always try to develop a portfolio of what you like to do. So you can never write too many games. You can never you're always working on this, and every little game. We have GitHub today and things like that that we can share our code, and that's actually important. Sometimes I go actually to GitHub and do look at recruiting's code, just to look at the format and what they're thinking and stuff like this. But anyway, I wrote this first game. This is not the first game that I wrote. This is the most current version of it, which is an Android app, because I always keep upgrading this one thing to learn some new technology. So I wanted to learn how to do mobile gaming. I just converted it to this particular format. But back when I got started, there was no Unity, there was no Epic, game engine, there was no Godot. I didn't have a lot of C++ knowledge back then, and so I was able to use the skills that I did know to build this game. So whatever technology that you currently know that you want to develop in, just write the game that you have in mind for, and you see a lot of it today. Unity is a wonderful engine to get going, get started, and I have done some development in Unity, but I just encourage you to do that. But this was my first game, simple as it might be. Anyway, I continued to evolve that, and after about 2 or 3 years of programming, I came up with my masterpiece. I'm a big sports fan as well, and I love playing sports simulations. In this case, I wanted to write a baseball simulation. There were no good baseball simulations on the market back in 2007. And the ones there that were out there, I thought, well, I can do a better job than what's out there. So, and I wanted to learn how to write a full game, something that was kind of a complete piece of software. So I started this project to do a baseball simulator. And after 3 years, I hired someone to do a little bit of artwork. I actually collaborated with a friend. We joined and started this little company together as an indie startup, and we finished this game together. This is kind of what it looked like. All the alpha blending you see in the back on the screen with the pictures of the faces to all the database backend to track all the statistics. We were cutting edge at the time, where we had a whole online version you could play head to head. And yes, this is actually before, I know it's common today, but it was back then, it really wasn't games that did that. And we were very proud of this. And I'm building up to all this to say that with all this hard work, all this, things that we were so proud of, and this really was some really cool technology in this game. At the end of the day, we sold one copy. And that was literally it. And what was even funnier was we sold it to a British guy. Didn't even sell it to any Americans who play baseball. So, and on top of that, we actually got sued for copyright infringement for over $500,000, which was ridiculous. But yeah, somebody thought we were doing another baseball sim, one of our competitors, so they sued us. We did win that lawsuit, of course. That was not a problem, but we had to spend $20,000 each out of our own pocket to defend ourselves. So that was the result of our masterpiece. We didn't make any money off it. Obviously, we lost money, and it could have been very, very discouraging. But what I did learn out of this was that I love to write games. This was absolutely what I wanted to do. Was going to be my dream job, was developing games and working in the gaming industry. At the time, I thought I would be a game programmer. And so that's kind of where my journey started. So what happened next? I started doing some consultant work for a new TV show. I networked with some people at my current job, which was not a game company, and kind of went through the grapevine. Ended up going to E3 in California because of that. I designed, I think, 5 different games for this company. So I got some game design, documents, experience involved with that. I was able to go to the game development conferences in both the US and here in Europe, which was a lot of fun, meeting so many other game developers, meeting with companies. It was just exciting. It just kept those steps going on my journey. But along that journey, of course, I wasn't working full-time in the gaming industry, but what I was doing was I was working in multiple industries at different roles. So I knew I wasn't ready to be a game programmer at that particular time. and I wanted to increase my skills, but I also knew that diversity was really important. So for me, I changed every 3 or 4 years. I would change to a different industry with a different programming role, try to improve and try to do it something a little different. And all the purpose, as I mentioned earlier, was building my gaming portfolio so that when I could present myself to a potential employer, I would have something there that would apply to the things that they needed in that description we talked about earlier. So that was kind of my purpose. And then along this journey, it was interesting. I kept redefining my dream job, because the more detailed that things that you wanted to do, you learned, you kind of enjoyed the certain things about programming. And so it kept being redefined. And during this process, I also started doing managing teams of different products and stuff. So I really enjoyed that, because I really enjoyed working with other developers. I am a developer, so I know the struggles as developers need and they use, and so it was really great to be able to represent them and to kind of develop them in their career and give them the tools that they needed to get to where they wanted to be in their career. So in the end, the goal was to work in the game industry, as a game developer. I ended up being a manager, and I still get to work with game developers, so it's all good. I love it every day. Okay, so what did I do to get my game development job? Okay, I updated my CV. We talked CV a little bit earlier. My CV was a mess. I thought it was so impressive with all the pages of information, but it was kind of like this guy holding a piece of paper. I think it was about that long, and I wasn't getting any replies. So I updated my CV. I focused on the things that each particular gaming job I was looking for was looking for specifically. So my CV became, basically 1 to 2 pages. Redid my LinkedIn page. This took quite a bit of time, actually, and quite a bit of research. Again, it kind of applies to the CV, but I know when I'm looking for candidates, I go to their LinkedIn page, and some of the things I look for is, have they changed the background? Have they changed the colors? How are they presenting the information? What information is on them? Do they actually write comments about or notes, or do they post certain things about themselves or about things that they're interested in? All that is there and available for us to see. And if someone is looking for a game job, if they're really into gaming, they're going to typically talk about it or post about it. So the way you presented your LinkedIn page is really important. And there are lots of resources out there, including from LinkedIn itself, to help you do this, to help you to make the best looking page possible. I look for jobs in the gaming industry that fit my skill set, because there are many jobs in the gaming industry that I literally couldn't do. In fact, even game companies have different requirements even for the same type of position. There are, for example, our game developers. We're looking for different skill sets than maybe some of our fellow game developers here in Warszawa. So I know that specifically, because I wouldn't be able to do some of those other things, but I can do the ones here based because of my skill set. I was rejected by companies here in Poland, in the United States. I've mentioned that a little bit earlier. Over 100 times I was rejected. But I kept redoing my CV and my cover letter, and kept redoing my LinkedIn profile. And every time I applied, and so one little tip, talking about CVs and cover letters, that I'd like to say is I actually have a separate folder for every cover letter, and every CV is applied to that company. So I kind of have a base template CV and I have a base template cover letter, but each one, like I said earlier, I really do my research about the company and the position, what I want, and I really customize it for that job I'm applying for. Remember, too, that if you're really interested in a company and you want to be attached to that particular brand, as we mentioned earlier, it's important to do some research before even applying, because it really allows you to customize that cover letter to things that are important about the company. So, for example, when I applied here at Huuuge Games, I know we're a mobile game company. I knew that. I knew they worked on casino games. So I was able to use that knowledge, and actually, you could go onto our website and you could see events that we do. We have a lot of parties. We do a lot of things together. We play together, which is one of our mottos. So I used all that information as part of my cover letter, and I actually focused on those types of things, which helped me to get recognized, to get my first interview here. So it's really important to do your background and do your homework, especially if you get an invitation for your first interview. I can tell you this from experience. One of our first questions is, have you played our game? And if you're applying for a game company, please play their game, because you'll probably get asked that first, and then it's a great conversation starter. It gets you kind of, everybody's nervous when you first get started, so it's a kind of a breaks the ice in the room, and it's a lot of fun if you can talk about the game that you're actually applying to work on. I finally got my dream job here at Huuuge Games. I actually applied twice here and was rejected the first time, which is another funny story. But I learned that from that rejection, the things that I needed to improve on, and then I resubmitted, I think about a year and a half later. And again, this time I was quickly accepted and went through all the recruiting processes. And it was literally the best recruiting process that I've ever been through. And I've been through a lot of them. Our recruiting team here at Huuuge is fantastic. They're super supportive. And I can say from experience, because I'm a manager, that we really want the job to fit what your goals and desires are. In fact, that's one of my first questions to people who I talk to is what are your goals? What do you want to get out of this job? What's your career goals? Because our job here is to make sure you're successful, and the only way to do that is to know what you need and what you want. So anyway, I went through the whole recruiting process. For me, it was a little bit of a trial because I had to wait 6 months to get all the paperwork done, since I'm an expat, and we were going through the pandemic, which slows down all the paperwork. But in the end, it all worked out. I was hired. I got all my paperwork, and I was able to. I have a job of a software development manager here. I'm the manager of one of 4 feature teams. I have my own team, and what we do is we actually work on different features inside the game. So if you open up our Huuuge Casino game, for example, the first thing you see is the lobby and all the beautiful graphics that our art team does. And that's actually the part of the game, obviously, that we work on. We work on the very front end of it. Because we have a lot of mini games built into the games, a lot of competitive games. Our games are very social. One thing that separates all of our games from our competition is the fact that we build in a lot of competition, ladders, social connections. You get more rewards in our games by the more you communicate and support each other. We have clubs or guilds that you can all be part of to help progress along the journeys as you climb as a ladder as your team. It's all kinds of great things like this. So our team works on all of this front end stuff. We develop new features, new mini games, new things that pop up on the weekend events that we do. We focus and do all that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of fun. We also have a whole team dedicated to the back end. Of course, all this data that saving all your games and everything is being processed has to go somewhere. So we make sure we have a whole dedicated team, just the same size as our front end team, that handles all this back end things. We have support teams. We care about our team, our players very much, and we have plenty of support to help them out. So the question is, do you want to join me? And let's talk about Huuuge Games a little bit and some of the perks. And I am currently hiring, recruiting. I'm looking for several positions, looking for Java developers and some game developers, and I'll get into that in just a moment. But so what is Huuuge, and kind of, what's it like to be here and what's it like to work here? Well, Huuuge Games is, we always stay humble and hungry, and this is actually very true. If you come here, literally everybody who works here is very hungry, very, very humble, and very passionate about what we do. We're very proud of the product that we make. Our team is very proud of the Huuuge Casino product that we make and the Billionaire Casino product. And every team that I've been in contact with has been very proud of what they've done. The Traffic Puzzle team is very proud of what they do. So you can expect that. When you come here, you'll see a lot of passion. You can see that in everything we do. you'll be offered a lot of diverse opportunities to improve your skill. Things like language courses. You can participate in conferences, which I've had a wonderful opportunity to do, and events like this one, and access to learning platforms, numerous internal and external training courses. I can say from a management standpoint that we really want you to learn and to grow personally and also professionally. So there's so many opportunities here, and really, it's what you want to make of it. I wanted to do more conference speaking, for example. I wanted an opportunity to grow. I was a little bit frustrated where I was in a previous part of the career before coming into Huge, and this is just whatever you want to do. It's almost limitless here, to be honest, and there's many of those opportunities. You'll be working on an international team, which also means you have a chance to take part in global recruiting. You can continue your career here in Warsaw or anywhere around the world. My team personally is quite international. Of course, I'm American. We have people on the team from other nationalities. We have people from Poland. A couple of my, game developers who are rock stars, in my opinion, are Polish. And then we got people. I've hired a couple of people from Poland as well as other countries as well. So you can experience very international flavor, which I like. And matter of fact, we have our Hotel Eve office for the Huge Casino. It does a lot of the product work, and I deal with them every day. It's just wonderful. All Huge employees have life insurance and private health care, and that includes it for your loved ones. We have all kinds of perks like ultimate unlimited drinks, snacks, fresh food in the offices, and vouchers for 1 month for a free lunch. And this all sounds kind of standard in today, but let me just take it up like 100,000 notches above that and say that, yeah, we have like major breakfasts every day. You can order a breakfast, come here, and it can be anything from a salad to crepes to yogurts to anything, even something that can translate into your lunch. Yes, we have fresh fruits, but this is for always around the office with cereals and and coffees and teas and yogurts, and we got waters, we got juices, it's just really off the charts. So we say unlimited drinks, yeah, pretty much unlimited drinks, and all kinds of wonderful benefits that we have. And we even have times like every week doesn't goes by that our staff will bring in, like we had a French Fry Day. National French Fry Day was like a couple weeks ago, and there was French fries everywhere. We have cakes. We sometimes we bring in different types of food from different types of the world that our employees work in. It's all kinds of fun. We also provide a lot of. We also pride ourselves on working as one. We are a very close knit group. Our motto is "Play together." You'll see that on all of our games, and everything we do is geared around being part and doing it together, which means for numerous social events. We have a lot of fun team bonding events. We have weekly events here in Warsaw for happy hours and parties. We usually have a theme, and they're a lot of fun. And we have all kinds of drinks. We have everything from beers and wines to sodas to waters to all kinds of wonderful food. That's usually geared around the theme for that particular week, and that's always a lot of fun. We also just had a summer party down on the river here at the Vistula River, where we all went out and again had great music. We took boat rides on the river, great times of bonding and socializing with each other. So it's just a lot of fun to be here, and you'll get to know a lot of interesting people. Our game room is full of like pool and big screen TVs with gaming events. We had a FIFA tournament just recently, and there's all kinds of wonderful things like this. So, and if you can always go to our website to see some pictures of these things, as well as other just do a search and you'll see plenty of pictures of our office here in Warsaw. Okay, so now I got you all pumped up that you want to work here. What are we looking for? Really all kinds of positions. This is kind of geared toward technical positions, but remember, we also have other non-technical, like artists. We also have like lawyers. We have tax professionals. We have all kinds of different types of industries. But this is kind of the technical part, and I'm particularly looking for Java developers. I need two specifically. So if you have any inclinations that if you have some Java skills and want to get in the gaming industry, you can apply on our website. I'm looking for a senior dev as well as a mid-tier Java developer. We're always looking for automated testers and test engineers. We need. I've already filled those positions on my team, but I know the other teams who need them as well, and looking for wonderful people there. I'm looking for a game developer on my team. I hired one developer just recently, and so we're looking for another one there. But I'm just one of four feature teams, and there's many of them. So we're always constantly looking. Again, there's a whole list of them on our website. I encourage you to go look at those. And if it's something that tickles your fancy, then please go ahead and apply. And one thing to note, though, that I have seen, just keep in mind, I've had some people just go through and just apply for all of them. Try to be specific, maybe one or two. Again, find one that you really would have an interest in. This is supposed to be your dream job. This is supposed to be something you're having fun. And even if you work for a game company, if it's not something you enjoy, you're probably not going to have fun. So I really just, instead of just blanket applying to things, just make sure you kind of craft that CV and a cover letter specifically for that job that you're looking for. Okay, so let's summarize all of this up to a few points that we can take away. So how to get your dream job. First of all, decide what your dream job looks like for you. And it'll look different for other people, obviously, but what does it look like for you? Work to enhance your skills to match your dream job. Keep building your portfolio. Keep writing games if you want to be a game dev. Keep learning new technologies that are key to the gaming industry, and develop those skills so that you can land that dream job. Keep your CV up to date. That's really critical. Update your LinkedIn profile too. Make it look good along with your CV. Look at some templates in CV, and again, LinkedIn will help you out with all this. Create that spicy cover letter for your application. Make it really specific to the job you're applying for. Do your research on the company. Find some fun things to talk about that apply to things that you can help with the company based on the job description. Network, and do more networking. If you want to be a game dev, there are a lot of events here in Warsaw and around Poland and around the world that you can be involved with. A lot of competitions and things like this. In fact, Huuuge Games sponsors a game jam every so often. I want to say it's once a year, but it actually might be more than that. And we just recently had one a couple months ago. And as a side note, the winning team won a wonderful prize of things, as well as one of the gentlemen off the lead team I just hired to be one of the game devs for my team. So we see this. So if you go to these events for these particular companies, they understand that it's part of recruiting as well. It's your chance to show that company what you can do. So it gives a great opening into the conversation. It puts you at the top of the list of people to talk to. So really be involved with these types of events. Also be involved if, like in Pixel Heaven was recently here in Warsaw, be involved with conventions and things like this that you're interested in, because it's a great place to network. And I can't emphasize networking enough. It has literally pulled me through my career to opportunities that I never ever would have dreamed about having in the past. And I'm so thankful for them. Remember, rejection is part of the process. It's really critical that you remember that, and don't get discouraged. Stay upbeat, stay positive. Remember, your state of mind is really critical. Again, stay positive and focus on your journey. Be determined, and remember, it's a journey. Be persistent, and of course, most importantly, just never quit. Your dream job is out there. I highly encourage you to seek after it. It may take a while. It may take for some of us, it may take years. Like for me, it was almost a whole 20-year journey. For some of you, it may only be a year or two. It really depends on what your dream job is and your skill and your networking and many other factors. So never quit. You will get there, and there are many people out here to support you and answer questions and help you out. And that's all I got.
Great. Thank you for this presentation. It was full of information. I tried to follow the questions. We have some of them. So I first of all, I definitely like the story that you described. Like I like the approach that's basically you are not showing that the game dev job is like the dream job. Is like basically you have to find what is your dream job. You mentioned that you started from working at a restaurant, right? And what was the initial thing that drove you towards programming, actually?
Oh yeah, it was more of a need. Again, I got a little bit lucky because I couldn't go in um, at the restaurant anymore because of my health. So I actually was able to get a job at a software development company and work with programmers, and that was kind of the first hint that it's actually something I really wanted to do. In the past, I wanted to like the games. I thought it'd be cool to develop them, but we had no Unity or things like this, so I couldn't really do a lot with it then. But it wasn't until I actually worked with the software company and got to talk to the developers that I actually realized that I love programming.
Was it something special that you heard that make you realize that you love programming?
Yeah, they were cool. They were rock stars. Everybody went to them for all the needs. They were so smart. They seemed to have all the answers. I know things are different. I've been doing this now for a long time, but back then, well, to me, they're developers and programmers are still rock stars. But they were just so cool, and I liked the idea that I could create something of my own and share it with somebody else. That has always been my goal in developing software is that I could create something creative and share it with somebody that somebody else can enjoy. That's another reason why I like games so much. There are literally millions of people around the world that play our games here at Huuuge Games that love to play the game, have a lot of fun every day, and I have get a small piece of that enjoyment that they have a part of each day, and I just think that's just so cool.
Yeah, I used to say that programmers are like nowadays wizards or magicians, like mags. So I wanted to ask one extra question regarding your early days of game development career. Do you remember, or maybe do you know the single person who bought that single copy of your game?
Personally, no. It was a stranger. It was literally wasn't a friend or anything. It was literally some gentleman, and of course I don't know who it is. And he was very passionate. We had a lot of seasons, that you could buy for extra money, and we had like a big package. You could buy everything for X amount of number of dollars, and he bought everything. It was just so funny. He was all in, and he was the only customer that we had. But no, it was no personal friend. It was no relative or anything. It was totally stranger.
But you met in person, or was it like online transaction or something
Oh,
like that?
online transaction. Online transaction. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's clear. You mentioned regarding like applying for jobs. You mentioned that cover letter is a really important piece of the documents that you are sending to the company. I honestly, I don't remember cover letter being explicitly required in most of the job descriptions. Is it different for game dev? I'm front-end engineer. I do web development, so for me it's something totally new.
Oh, it's a great question. Exactly, and you're right. We don't require it here, actually. And most positions don't require it. However, I can really tell you from experience that to help you get recognized and get noticed, that I highly encourage you to do that. But no, and typically it is not required. Again, it's not required here. But I love to see them, and if I see one and I read it, it really because again, as a game developer, I'm looking for somebody with passion, and typically game developers have a lot of passion. So I want to see how much passion they have, and this is a great way to show how much passion you have before having to get to talk to you.
You mentioned that you organize also a game jam, or like was it called like that?
Yes, correct.
Do you feel like this is the good place to look for new developers, or do you prefer to approach someone who is not that much publicly available, let's say, because some developers just prefer to work alone? Like, is game dev a place for them, or do you have place for anyone?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely plays for anybody. Again, we work in teams, so there's a little bit of a social aspect there. We have different personalities as part of that team equation. The game jams, to go back to that really quickly, yes, we provide that as an opportunity for two reasons. One, to help us learn about you, people who want to come to that, and then also for you to have an opportunity to learn how to write a game, maybe in a professional way, or try to show us what you can do. And so it's a learning process for the person. But it's absolutely, I understand the apprehension because I have not gone to many events because I was a little bit timid as well. So I associate myself with the quiet crowd. However, that's not going to stop you from getting a game in the game dev industry, even here at Huge. But once you get here, it's a social part of it. You kind of blend in. I think we don't force anything upon anybody.
Great. So let's assume that I'm front-end engineer and I want to convert to a game dev. Like, how much time does it require? What are the particular skills that I need to develop? I'm basically asking, let's say, I'm asking for newbie programmers, someone who is not yet experienced in like any of the areas, or maybe is experienced in a different area, but he heard that, okay, game dev is fine. I want to go there. So
Okay.
do you have any tips, tricks for those programmers to join?
Yeah, sure. So in the example you gave me, what kind of programmer were you?
I'm a front-end engineer. I do JavaScript and React, let's say.
Perfect. Again, it's going to depend on which company and what their needs are. I know here at Huge, I just hired I just hired one junior game developer. And what is important for me is that he can show me how to program. So if you're doing front end JavaScript for a front end processing, then in that case that may be enough to in certain positions. If you're wanting to do more, say, engine kind of work, game engine type of work, and then you're going to have to learn like more C++. So what I would recommend is if learn the languages that are associated with game development, which are typically C++, C, C sharp, those kind of things. If you want to work on the game front end, but again, keep in mind too that we hired Java programmers for all the back end stuff, and we hired database professionals for that back end stuff. We actually have full ops type of developers too who work on a lot of our tools that are critical in house for making sure the games function correctly, they get updated correctly. So it really depends what part of the gaming industry that you want to focus on. If you're looking at actually working on the game itself, then you're going to look at maybe how to manipulate graphics. You want to look at maybe Lua is a language we use here a lot. And again, you can ask those kinds of questions, but you can do some research on what kind of languages they use. But typically focus on those types of language. And if you want to do back end stuff, and then really, database is important. Understanding web services. Having something in AWS, or Azure. Those kinds of experiences that you want to do.
Yeah, that's a nice change of perspective, because like for me, game development was always like the first thing that comes to my mind was okay, I will need to do something visual, but you basically highlight that there is a lot of other responsibilities in the team that you don't have to do visuals to actually work in the game dev. So that's
Very
nice.
true. And yeah, and once again, I look at CVs that if you've never had any gaming experience. I mean, some people require it depending on the position, but from a junior level, if you want an introduction level, I focus more upon your passion. That's why for me the cover letter is so important, because if you don't have any gaming experience, how do I know you want to work on games? So that kind of thing.
Yeah, thank you for this. One last question, because we are running out of time, regarding the culture of working at Huuuge Games, because like it seems like a really fun place to be if it comes to the career and developing your skills, meeting new people. There are some things in general related to the game industry that are not very positive. I got one question regarding something that is called crunch time. Like you probably heard about it. Like, can you
Yeah.
like demystify this term or describe
No,
how it looks like in your company, maybe?
yeah, that's a great question because it is a big topic. In crunch time, you hear in many game companies, you have to work 80 hours a week. You have to be on call all the time. These types of things, and and yes, there are times in the process that it gets more urgent, if I could say, than others. But at Huuuge Games, I can tell you we don't have those types of crunch times. We have times of releases that things get a little more hectic, but um, my philosophy has always been about crunch time. If I'm doing my job correctly as a manager and the company is doing, we are managing those expectations. And when it comes time for that crunch time, we should have almost things already completed. So we don't really have the crunch time that is kind of a common thing you see in the gaming industry here at Huge. Obviously any job you get, not only gaming industry, things certain times of the year, like I said, get more crazy than others. But I can honestly say, the devs they work a regular standard week. If there is opportunity to, we do have opportunities for working like on weekends on a volunteer basis if something comes up. But your time is always compensated for that, and it's always volunteer. But I know I do for my team specifically. I don't ask them to work extra hours because we didn't get something done per se. So again, it happens. I can't say it would never happen, but it's not a standard here at all.
Okay, so if you want to have a great developer manager, join Huuuge Games. So thank you very much for this presentation, for this Q&A session, and that's it for today. So ask more questions. Maybe we will be able to answer those later asynchronously, let's say.
Yeah, thank you very much. This has been a lot of fun. And once again, I encourage anybody, if you have any questions, to reach out to me. You can find me on LinkedIn. Just send me a message on there. I always tell people that's the easiest way to look at it. I also have a Twitter page and stuff. But if you go to LinkedIn, you can find me easy. You can find any of our great recruiters there, and you can ask them any question. We really, seriously, we want to help you to get your goals and to get your job as a game dev and get your dream job. So thank you for the opportunity to talk. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye. We can wave.
Okay, bye-bye.